Here we are with another edition of Talking with Troupe on News4Jax.com, a News4Jax.com exclusive. I'm Gators. I'm David Waters, the host of Gators Breakdown, joined every week by Ben Troupe here. Ben, of course, hopefully everything's been good with the hurricane that just moved through Florida and Georgia for you.
Oh yeah, man. I was able to get out of there. I'm one of those guys where everybody was talking about it might hit, it might not hit. I can't do too well. I've never been the one that did the best at assuming. So I said, listen, I'm gonna just get out of there, and hopefully my house is in one piece when I get back.
All right, yeah. Hopefully everything's okay. Looks like we got away from the worst of it, but hopefully when you get back home, everything looks good. Let's talk about these Gators here and the matchup with UT Martin. Of course, Ben, Florida dropped in the rankings. That's kind of the storyline this week. Dropped in the coaches poll, dropped in the AP poll. Uh, how much do players actually pay attention to the polls that are released every week in college football?
You wish they didn't pay attention to it, man. But I mean, it's one of those things to where we live in a social media driven type world, especially when you 18 to 24 years old, and that kind of stuff matters to you. You say to yourself, well, we won and we still dropped down. I guess our performance wasn't up to the liking of the people who do the voting. But listen, all you can control is what you do. They was 1-0 after week one. Hopefully they're trying to get 1-0. After week two was able to kind of, get away from football a little bit, kind of get guys back healthy. But I think I heard Hammond say it the best, man. He was like, listen, man, people talk about UT Martin. You can't look past them. Nobody thought Georgia State was going to beat Tennessee. Nobody thought Wyoming was going to beat Mizzou. So you can't look past anybody on your schedule, but I think those guys are going to be ready to go.
Yeah, Florida dropped to 10th in the coaches poll and 11th in the AP poll when they're going into this matchup versus an overmatched opponent, Ben. UT Martin is going to come into the swamp, and you mentioned, some of the upsets in the SEC last week. We'll get to that. But go back to when you were a player. How did you view these, perceived overmatched opponents when they come in? How did you perceive it as a young player, and then how did you perceive it as an experienced player?
I viewed them the same. I never ever thought that these guys were inferior to us. Yes, we might have more talent. Yes, we got, better coaches and things of that nature, but football is football. And the thing is, the last thing you want to do is give a team confidence, when they come into your home, when they come into on your home field. So I always looked at it as, man, I respect every football player, man, regardless of, where you play or who you play for, because I don't want to ever look past my opponent, man, because when you start doing that, you start not playing up to your ability. The next thing you know, you got a dogfight, well into the fourth quarter.
Ben, we go back to last year, they implemented this new 4-game red shirt. Freshmen can play, or any player can play in 4 games and still red shirt for a season. Would you have liked to have seen that when you were playing? And how much does the benefit of that now as, you go back to last year and Emory Jones playing in 4 games and a lot of freshmen, a lot of young players playing in 4 games and still being able to red shirt? Do you think that helps college football?
It does, and it helps the player more than anything else. I mean, it gives you a chance to get out there and some big game action, and you can kind of pick and choose, what 4 games you actually put them in. I think that benefits these guys well. My freshman year, I mean, I didn't redshirt, but I barely played, so it was almost like a wasted year for me. Just to be able to say I'm the third tight end on, on the depth chart, but I never really seen a lot of playing action. So yeah, it definitely benefits these players because number one, you still feel like you're a part of the team. You're not just holding the clipboard, with a hat on, just trying to, make sure you stay in the game. It gives you a chance to see what it is like to go out there in big time games, big time competition. I think it's one of the best rules the NCAA has ever done.
Anyway, I just mentioned Emory Jones, and of course, everything goes well. Felipe Franks and the starters will be out. This looks like a chance to get some of the younger players, and more specifically, a quarterback like Emory Jones in there to get a lot of reps.
Yeah, you hope so. You hope that the game is out of reach, well early into the third quarter. Because the thing about Emory is he has all the talent in the world. I mean, Emory is the most loved, guy, at Florida right now because he is the backup quarterback. The starter, all you do is try to look at what he does wrong, and all you do is look at what the backup has done right. But I think Emory's going to be a guy that definitely gets in there, takes his time. Obviously, he's a better runner, of the football than Felipe is. But I want to see how he does. Playing within the confines of the offense, taking what the defense is giving him. But, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited about Emory. I'm excited about seeing some of these young guys get in. I'm excited about seeing some of these receivers, and we got so many of them that maybe once the starters go out, we'll see some of this young talent we got in there, man. But it should be a showcase game for everybody on the roster this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ben, is there any chance here? Maybe from a coaching perspective, of course, this isn't in a perceived overmatched opponent, as we've learned our lesson about that sometimes. But is there any prep for Kentucky that starts this week? Knowing that this is an opponent you should probably beat. Kentucky's your next SEC opponent, your next big opponent, your opponent after this game. Is there anything that they're prepping for Kentucky at the same time they're preparing for UT Martin?
Uh, I think they do it, but the players won't know they doing it. If UT Martin does some things, you can go out there and kind of benefit from what Kentucky does. You'll do it, but I think Dan Mullen, man, that's what makes him a good coach, man. He doesn't, man, his hindsight is 2020. He's not a guy that looks too far ahead. He's all about focusing on the next game, and I think because of what happened with those upsets last week, it gives them a chance to say, look, man, that's not going to happen to us. We're not going to be one of these teams. And I'm not saying the teams that lost, the Georgia State and Wyoming. I'm not saying Tennessee and Mizzou look past who they played. I just think that because of that, you look at that and say, hey, man, let's get these boys focused for this week, our home opener. Let's make sure we go out there and put on a good show.
I think what comes into play here is kind of weird. We kind of hit on it last week when we got together, but this is a weird time for a bye week for Florida, and of course, I think there are two ways to look at it after that Miami game. You struggled a little bit, so do you want to get on the field and kind of make some good things happen? But you do have a bye week. You got to kind of cater to that and kind of work around that. What do you think the early bye week was a good thing with this game coming up now?
It does. I think it was great because number one, man, you get to go back and look at the film and say, okay, we're not as we nowhere near as bad as we think we are, but we nowhere near where we're trying to be. And you get to go back and look at against, you know, a great opponent. Miami is going to be a team that's probably going to win a lot of games in the ACC. Got one of the best defenses in the country. I think what players need to do is go back to the drawing board and really reassess themselves. We get too high on ourselves so much because we start feeding to that top 10 preseason ranking, not realizing, man, we got to go out there and prove ourselves week in and week out. So by being able to go back and see what we could have done better. I mean, when I saw that Malik Davis play, man, when I saw it, and when I broke it down, I stopped and I said, if he catches that pitch, that might be a touchdown. It's a chance to go back and see what I did well, what I need to work on. So I think the bye week came at a great time for Florida because they get to watch other college football teams play, but they get to also go back and watch themselves.
All right, our last thought here from Ben Troupe. Ben, you mentioned watching other teams play. Well, you've kind of mentioned it a couple of times with some of the SEC teams struggling. What is the state of SEC, more in particular the SEC East? Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri all struggled. They lose games. Some inexplicable losses actually, from Tennessee. Inexplicably, South Carolina loses with the way that game played out. They're up 20-9. They get beat. You also look at FSU as well out of the conference. Your in-state rival losing a game to Boise State. But in particular, looking at the SEC here, is this a worry time for the SEC and some SEC teams?
No, I think it's a wake up call. I think what the SEC definitely, I mean, in particular the SEC East need to realize you're always going to be the hunted. The SEC network, I mean, people thought that the SEC network has been out for like 10 years, and it hasn't because people think that ESPN, the Sports Center, used to cater to the SEC. But the thing is, you are the hunted. If you Wyoming, I got sick of hearing about Mizzou, man. I mean, this big, Kelly Bryant coming from Clemson, he gonna be able to go out there and run, just make us look bad. If I'm Georgia State, oh, so what? You thought we were just happy to go up to Tennessee and get a big check? If you UNC and Mac Brown, you saying, look, man, the last time North Carolina was good, I was the one coaching those guys. So I just think that the SEC East needs to understand that you are the hunted. You still are the one everybody wants to beat, to put that on their resume. I mean, way back in 2013 when Georgia Southern beat Florida, I was able to go speak at Georgia Southern. The first thing you see when you walk in the facility is them beating Florida. That's what they're going to hang their hat on, and you're supposed to. So Tennessee, Missouri, South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, they need to understand that just because the SEC West is the better side of the conference, you still represent the best conference in the world, and you need to go out there and act like it.
Ben, one more thought here on that. We got a lot of overreaction on the Florida side from playing week zero in that game. Is there some overreaction out there for Tennessee, for South Carolina, for Missouri that, yes, they lost in week one. Yes, they lost to opponents they probably shouldn't have, but these teams aren't as bad as what they should?
Yeah. It's always gonna be overreaction, man. It's one of those things where like it's like we can't wait to see somebody like struggle so we can kick them when they're down, not realizing you a week away from that being you. I mean, Florida got more criticism than anybody I've ever seen, and they won the game. So I think when you Tennessee, when you Missouri, when you South Carolina, look, man, the things that you like push under the rug and let go during practice, that those things show themselves, you know, on Saturday when you're going up against an opponent who get tired of being somebody's doormat. I mean, they saying right now that Bentley might be out for South Carolina, so now they got to go with a young guy. So I think that yes, it's always gonna be an overreaction, David, man, because that's what we do. I mean, college football fans as a whole, we are the best and the worst when it comes to watching our teams or other teams because we got some of the worst criticism you're gonna ever see. But unfortunately, that's how we are. It's not gonna go anywhere because unlike the players, man, ain't nobody like watching over us and making sure that we saying the right things, doing the right things. So if you Tennessee, if you Missouri, if you South Carolina, you hating life right now. Get off social media, go back to what you do, control what you can control, and try to put a W in that win column this week.
That is the one and only Ben Troupe. Ben, let our listeners, of course, here in Jacksonville, that's where News for Jax is based. So you guys get up there in Brunswick, get us as well. But let all of our listeners know where they can find you.
Always go to espncoastal.com between the hours of 3 and 6 Monday through Friday to stream. You can stream live stream our show at 3 and out. Always go to follow us on Twitter at Pigskin Radio, and always follow me, man, on Instagram and Twitter at BenTroop84.
All right. I'm David Waters, host of Gators Breakdown. You can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. And that's it for this edition of Talking with Troop.